Greetings everybody, welcome to G for G. Today we're going to take a look at this glorious specimen that is my cat. That's the video. I'm just going to show you this cat as he sits and lays on my girlfriend's knees as she does her job from home thanks to the remoting of the itis. No, I'm just kidding. That is not the video for the day. The video for the day is talking about Domino in Marvel Strike Force, and we're going to compare her to some other iterations that we've had with her. And you know what, we may as well dip into X-23 and Negasonic while we're at, and we will actually unlock Domino today in Marvel Strike Force. So she's in Marvel Future Fight, and she was also in Marvel Avengers Alliance. You can see here this is Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux, which is the rebirth of Marvel Avengers Alliance. It's being worked on. Do not ask me questions about Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux in this video. This is one dedicated to Marvel Strike Force. If you have MAAR questions, certainly go ahead and find one of my more recent MAAR videos and ask about them there. Some things that I'll tell you straight out. Don't ask about when the next beta is coming out. I don't have an answer. That's the answer. The other answer is it's out when it's out. And don't ask me if we will ever see Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux appearing on mobile devices. Just want to let you know, yes, you can download what you see on my screen. Just go back a video or two on my channel. And there are links in the description along with links to the Marvel Avengers Alliance Facebook and Discord. So, here is a lot of our first encounters with Domino. Nina Thurman was genetically modified in a top secret government breeding program, one of only 2 individuals to survive the process. After she was freed by a religious cult called the Armored Jesuits, Nina became the mercenary known as Domino. Her skill with firearms and her mutant powers of probability of manipulation make for a potent combination. She had Spinal Scratch, Hold Up, Around the World, and Arrow Dynamite. Now, I can tell you that back in the day, there's Taskmaster and Philoval, by the way. Back in the day, I was never very impressed with Domino at all. For a blaster, I felt that she always kind of hit like an infiltrator. She was just weak. She got a little bit better with some ISOs later on, and she did enjoy some degree of success with Pesty because of her debuffs. Now, unfortunately, in this version of MAAR, which is Beta 2, we don't have the tooltips and everything. But you could see her abilities. Hold Up, which was this ability here, is where she shoots the ceiling and random debuffs happen on the enemies. Sometimes like glass falls and other related things. And it was a variety of debuffs. She sort of has that probability thing that like Scarlet Witch had. And she was okay, but this game kind of made you believe in the power and strength of your blasters, and Domino just never really came through in that way. She just couldn't put up the big numbers. She was more of a debuffing blaster. So we also had X-23, and X-23 had an alternate costume called the Horseman of War. In the Spec Ops that featured Apocalypse, which is what gave us Pesty as the Horseman of Pestilence, we would get X-23 taking over the War persona. And she would get bumped up from her original just heroic X-23 costume and everything to actually being quite the force of nature. I always thought the helmet was super fucking goofy. It's, I mean, it looks like Japanese anime, like her name should be Ununkainen Rider or something like that. That actually came out more German than Japanese, but like Shonen Rider, like some 3 o'clock in the afternoon Japanese kids anime from when they come home from school. But actually, she was pretty fucking vicious. The original suit, a lot of people did like, but the Horseman suit made her pretty outrageous. And when teamed up with Pesty or somebody could keep those bleeds going, she did a lot of bleeds, and she could exploit them pretty well. So that is X-23. This game, unfortunately, does not have Negasonic Teenage Warhead, which, aside from her semi-popular comic run, she was also featured in the 2 Deadpool movies, and Domino was featured in the second Deadpool movie. Now, something interesting to talk about with Domino, and I talked a lot about this in videos in the past and on my streams, and it now is somewhat of a timely thing to bring up considering the political climate of the United States right now. It's interesting how race has played in the Marvel comics and the Marvel movies, where they have race swapped a few things, and what things stick and what things don't. And I always like to point to Kingpin as being one of the things, and Heimdall on opposite ends of the spectrum. So Heimdall was taken over by Idris Elba in the Thor and Infinity War, and, well, not Infinity War and Endgame. He was kind of dead by then. In the Thor movies and everything. But in games going forward, even from Marvel Avengers Alliance to all of the games that we have now, Heimdall is typically represented in his Idris Elba incarnation of him. This is generally what you see for Heimdall now in Marvel games, rather than the sort of rotund Norse god representation that he's had in the past. On the opposite end of the spectrum, you have Kingpin, who in the Daredevil movie was played by the late, great Michael Clarke Duncan, who, by the way, if you ever have access to the movie Friday, he has a little cameo in Friday before he really caught on. So there was a scene in Friday where they were shooting dice, and Debo comes up, or Red comes up and wants his bike back, and Debo lays him out with the punch, and of course you get the infamous Chris Tucker, "You got knocked the fuck out!" That scene features Michael Clarke Duncan. He's actually one of the extras that's rolling dice over there. Little trivia for you. Anyway, so Michael Clarke Duncan plays Kingpin in the Daredevil movie, and we've had that Daredevil represented afterwards. I mean, we've had a Daredevil that looks like that, and Marvel Avengers Alliance did the Netflix Daredevil in Sweats Devil, as we like to call him. And I mean, this is movie Devil right here. So we've brought this representation forward, but we have not brought the Michael Clarke Duncan representation of Kingpin moving forward. We also didn't even do it for Into the Spider-Verse, which is one where conceivably that could have been done. And now we have Domino showing up, who is not bringing Deadpool's movie representation going forward. So it's just interesting. Oh, and of course Nick Fury. I mean, this is not the original Nick Fury, but ever since the Avengers and Marvel Cinematic Universe movies, this is Nick Fury going forward. You don't see the older representation of him anymore. It's just sometimes confusing to see what things stick and what things don't. And by the way, don't read into any of it. There's no agenda there on either side of the spectrum or either side of the conversation. It's simply pointing out facts and just an interesting discussion on it that it's curious going forward. And I always like having that conversation because it opens up into the wider, well, it looked this way on Netflix, it looked this way in the movie, and to me it's always a fun and interesting conversation, but don't read into it clearly, especially in these recent weeks over here. So Domino, let's get her going first, and then look at her abilities, and we will move over to X-23 and see how we do with the shards. So now in the other video that I'm putting up, which is the one on Ironheart, I touched briefly on what a lot of people lately have been calling seed theory, and that is you spend X amount of gold in the game, which kicks over an invisible or hidden counter into the game. Ah, okay, nice. Got a 40 banger on that one. That's cool. So okay, this is where seed theory comes in. Seed theory says that you spend a lot of gold, which at a particular time, like on a day, not overall, but like during a day or a session, you spend X amount of gold, and then you are kicked up to this higher tier in the background of the game. When you're on that higher tier, you open orbs like this one until you get a solid pull on the center pole. Sort of like this 40 banger right here. Once you get that, you're now in the Scarlet Witch probability, Domino probability. Working, you see how I worked that in there? Isn't that fun? You're now in that good luck portion of the game, and you're going to want to go over to your more important orbs, like your legacies and your red stars and all of those, and then they are supposedly more likely to give you good odds. God, her uniform in this makes her look like a Marvel character that I didn't know existed until Marvel Battle Lines, called Spot. Interesting. Well, hey, look, there's the grenade. There's the gun. We don't have the knife representation, but fire in the hole is similar to aerodynamite. So, alright, let's see if we're on the quote-unquote good orbs at this point, and let's go to red star. So I'm going to knock this down from 16 to 10. I've been hoarding these just to test out theory a little bit. Kind of crap. Yeah. I would say that's medium luck. That's trash. Okay, that's decent. I mean, just got her and I've already got a star for her. That's okay. But still garbage luck. Garbage luck. And garbage luck. Okay, so perhaps it is waiting for orange on the center pole as the good luck. I mean, it's one of those things that if you have a mind that's not open to theories, you're like, all right, whatever, bullshit. If you have a more a net that functions like a parachute, you may be like, hey, it maybe has a point. And then you see these videos of people on good runs. I don't really know if it's a true thing or not. It could be, but it's one of those things that you kind of think of as tinfoil hat, unless you see like 5 or 6 people really taking advantage of it, and then you're like, oh, maybe it is something. But speaking of luck, let's see what we get here. It's a duplicate. She was my first. Oh my god, what a piece of shit. She was like my first 7-star, or my only 7-star, I think. This is alright. Let's just go over and look at my roster to see how bullshit that one is. Fuck you. Fuck you, Fox Next. I mean, really, this is... I mean, that is a gorgeous specimen of woman, but yeah, I kind of didn't need a 4-star version of her. When I pulled her ages ago. I mean, I've had her sitting at that amount of red stars for a long time. When I posted it on the Facebook group, one of the Facebook groups that I admin, and people like, oh, you're a bastard. I'm like, I'm sorry. It's just, it's the luck that I got there. Sorry about that. So perhaps we have not seeded anything particularly good over there. So I may as well get rid of the last 4 orbs. Let's see what the last 2 give. A 10. Nice 10 pop. And an 8. Alright, let's see where we've actually got her wound up now. So we'll go and sort by X-Force. So here you can see we'll have a new team, X-Force. That means Cable, who kind of floats around, will finally have a home. And Deadpool, who floats around effectively on Mercenary and Brawler, he'll have a dedicated home. Cable's sort of fits in as a universal key to a bunch of locks. Deadpool's a little more specific. But I'm actually really, really close to dinging him and a star, so that's cool. So, by the way, I hate, and I did this in my last video, if you notice, if you say you want to go like from 1 to 20, just give a character boost, it wants to do so many of the oranges right away. I like to, at the lower levels, try to get it to favor the purples. And not waste the oranges on such a low level. Yeah, you dump a couple oranges on a low level like this, and it jacks them up super far and super fast, but why waste that when it's such a positive boost to the upper tiers of your characters? And, oh wow, 2 shards short. That's the closest I've ever come on a pull, but that means the campaign, when she shows up in 2 days, will be pretty handy. So, lucky shot. Attack the primary target for damage, gain 50% chance to crit for the attack, 30% chance to gain an assist from a random X-Force ally. So damage goes up, chance for the assist goes up. Always gain the assist at level 6, and then at the orange tier, massive damage over there. So, not the most orange worthy of one. I'd say purple tier is really good at that point. Fire in the hole. If Deadpool is an ally, transfer all negative effects from self and each X-Force ally onto Deadpool. Poor Deadpool. Fill the speed bar for Deadpool by 20%. Attack the most injured enemy for damage and all adjacent targets. So that's cool. We've got a lot of attack the most injured enemy attacks, but have splash on it is pretty cool. I'm sort of minorly concerned about transferring everything to Deadpool, even though he can purge debuffs and whatnot, but it almost seems excessive. By the way, there is, and this is a very unsung character that not a lot of people talk about, but if you research it, he's out there. There is a character in the Marvel Universe that supposedly all of the bad luck that would have happened to Domino, but is waxed on, waxed off, kind of bounces off of her thanks to her good luck silicone nature, where everything just kind of, no non-stick frying pans, just skids right off of her. There is supposedly, and I don't remember his name, I've only really encountered this information once or twice before, there is a person in the Marvel Universe that all the bad shit that would have sunk into Domino hits him instead. So he's he's the antithetical opposite of Domino, that he just walks around like shit's gonna fall out of the sky on him because it didn't happen to Domino. Interesting to think about that. And that would make a fun plot for one of the Marvel games or something, to introduce him, and he becomes the counter to X23. He becomes the counter to Domino, whatever. But all right, so damage goes up, speed bar for Deadpool more, and fill the speed bar even more, and more damage to primary and secondary. None of these jump out at me as being the most orange worthy for the first orange on the character, but I would probably say this one has a little bit more use to take it down to the orange level, just because of the massive AoE, and it's unique in the game that it targets the lowest health and splashes, which is pretty cool. Alright, so no scope. Attack the primary target for damage. Apply disrupted, a rebound chain to 2 adjacent targets. If the character is below 50% health, rebound chain to 5. So that's a good minion sweeper. My favorite minion sweeper is Gamora, simply because, I mean, minions are just fodder for her. It literally enables her to go apeshit, to drop the level 3 on somebody, and then drop the level 2, and then drop the level 1, maybe the level 2 chains around a little bit. Yeah. So this is pretty cool over here. So damage goes up, rebound to 2 or 3 adjacent targets while above 50% health. So it ups the rebounds over there, more damage, more damage, more damage, rebound chain to a dedicated 3 adjacent targets while above 50. So to me, this one is the clear winner for the orange. It's one of the most clear winners for an orange, or first orange, that I've seen in a while. On spawn, fill the speed bar by 5%. On X-Force allies' turn, 25% chance to apply evade to that ally when they get their turn. Gain dodge chance, X-Force allies gain dodge chance. Gain crit damage, X-Force allies gain crit damage. Apply -5 crit damage to all enemies. And now we have a war offense. On spawn, reduce the speed bar of all enemies. Apply offense up to X-Force allies. And then speed bar goes up for her. Crit damage goes down. The chance for evade goes up. Crit damage for her and the allies go up. And then finally, at the orange level, 25% more chance to apply evade, 10% crit damage for self. I would place this as second. Very, very close second. I would do them almost at the exact same time if I could, and then dump into Fire in the Hole and Lucky Shot after that. So right off the bat, her synergies are pretty much tied to X-Force. I mean, that's clear. It doesn't seem like she can work with other teams. She's Hero Global, Mutant Controller, X-Force Unity, and Lucky. So Lucky will be a new thing. I mean, she acts, if she's standalone, she acts a little bit more as a blaster. It's when she starts teaming up with X-Force friends that the controller in her sticks a little bit better. Alright, so let's go and take a look at the rest of the X-Force over here. So first, X-23. So there's Snicket, which is what she's known for. She's Mutant Brawler and X-Force, Hero and Global. Attack primary target for piercing. Chance to gain and evade. Wow, that's going to be fun. Wow, she's almost going to be unhittable with Domino. She's gaining evades and dodge chances. It's going to be tough. And at the orange level, always gain the evade. Piercing to a primary target. Not bad. Not bad. I mean, every time she attacks to gain an evade, this is one of the first times where I think a level 1 is really orange worthy over there. Relentless Assault. Attack the primary target for piercing and apply ability block. Wow, another ability block. That's pretty nice. If blocked or dodged, gain a bonus attack for piercing. Apply one ability block for maximum 3. In war, bonus attacks gain extra focus. That's pretty nice. It seems like it's another war-oriented one. Piercing to all attacks. So the piercing goes up. Piercing, 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 piercing. I actually feel like Relentless Assault falls behind Snicket for the desire to orange it. Feral Rage, which is quite common in X-23's representation, even in the Old Man Logan movie. Attack the most injured. Another one of these most injured, but non-summoned. That's kind of a cool conditional to have. It means you can't Gamora her, which is to use a non-summoned, to use a summons to gain something. But it's good because it means that summons are off the table and they can't be used to distract X-23 from her mission. For Gamora, it makes sense. She uses them to get buffed and, then goes on a rampage afterwards. For this, somebody who's trying to do something as a target, it makes sense. She ignores taunt and stealth, 30% chance to flip stealth on that target. Another anti-stealther. If X-23 finishes the last non-summoned enemy, repeat this full attack on the most... Interesting wording over there. Piercing up, flipping stealth. But what would be the flip of stealth? Why is it just not removing stealth? What is the flip of it? I'm kind of interested to see, what is a flip of stealth? I mean... if you take Yondu and his passive and he takes somebody's stealth, he just takes it. If it's Hawkeye, he just removes it. So what exactly is a flip? It may be just weird wording. Piercing on attacks. Always flip stealth on each attack. I maybe would go Snicket first, and then Feral Rage, and then Relentless Assault. So let's see Mutant Weapon. On turn, heal for 5% of the character's max health. I don't know if Marvel Avengers Alliance gave her healing factor or not. I'd have to check that. I don't really remember her having it, but she might have. On turn, heal for the character's health. When an enemy drops below 50% health, fill the speed bar. Little Carnage-esque over there. She gains 20% focus. X-Force allies and Wolverine gain 20% focus. X-Force allies. When this character's health drops below 50%, gain evade. That's cool. On turn, speed bar, focus. And then at the orange level, gain 2 evade. Solid. Pretty solid, but I might actually make the case that Snicket should be the number 1. And now finally, Negasonic. She's going to be a blaster. And maybe that's why they didn't make Domino a blaster. But then again, if you look at Asgardians, there's double blasters there, so... Hero Global Mutant Blaster, X-Force. Are they going to call? Yeah, alright. Just making sure they have mutants on the other ones, too. Alright, so, Negasonic. Energy Blasts. Just straight up damage. So we know that one's not particularly orange-worthy. Particle Charge. Primary and adjacent targets can't be blocked. Clear positive effect. Always clear it. 2 of them. Clear 3. Clear all. From each target. Yeah, that's gonna be... That one's orange-worthy, I think. That certainly beats the level 1. Warhead. Attack all enemies for damage and apply a heal block. Ooh, an AoE heal block. All of them. That's tasty. On war offense, clean defense up. Apply heal block for 2 turns. I would give it a particle charge, then warhead, and ticking time bomb. On spawn, bury yourself for 5% of the character's max health. On enemy turn, fill the speed bar. If this character has a barrier, gain armor. On offense, for war, fill the speed bar, It goes up by X-Force ally, gain damage, and all X-Force allies gain... Oof! That combined with Domino's crit. Yikes. This could be an extremely powerful team going forward. And finally, at the orange level, armor goes up, more offense, even more damage. I would say if you are in a lot of Alliance Wars, maybe this one will go first because of what it exactly does for the team. And then I would probably say if you're not a big war-oriented person, Particle Charge first, and then Ticking Time Bomb and Warhead. But if you are into wars and you do make an offensive team, I would say Ticking Time Bomb, then Particle Charge, Warhead, Energy Blast. So there you go, guys. There's the X-Force roster over here from Marvel Strike Force. And let's dip into Future Fight really quick to look at Negasonic and Domino and X-23 over there. I kind of wish Domino was a little bit better in Marvel Avengers Alliance. She just never was that strong. So, okay, interesting thing I've been staring at every time on the screen over here with Beta Ray Bill or Thorhorse. If he chews, okay, look at, if he was chewing food, whether it's vegetation or meat material, if he's chewing here, how does he get it here to where he could get it down his throat and actually eat it? Does he lift his head up and let gravity do it? How does chewing in this area then go through this gap over here down his throat? And like I have been mystified and thinking like, fuck, how does this guy eat? If like there's this giant hole over here, how does this not like Two-Face when he drinks the water at the bar and it just leaks out the side of his face over there where it has the ugly part of his Two-Face going on? Oh, that's just... Tell me I'm wrong. Like, go and stare at that picture and tell me I'm actually wrong on that one. Alright, so I think actually, yeah, so my Domino is a tier 2, so pretty close to both representations, a bit closer to the Marvel Avengers Alliance one. Skill, there's that lucky shot, probability of detonation, reload, increased skill cooldowns on people, smoke bomb, burn damage, free fire, burn damage, and her dodge rates up. So that's how they represent the probability is a dodge rate up on this one, but also the crit rate on the passive, so that's a pretty decent representation of how they do luck. So this is, by the way, Weapon Hex, which is X-23 and Scarlet Witch combined. Just thought I would mention that. And here is X-23. She has a classic uniform and a X-Force uniform, which brings her very close to looking like Wolverine's uniform. All new Wolverine, Blade Claw, Assault, Covert Claw with a stun, so she's got some bleeds. There's Wild Rush, removes elasticity, which is a buff for reducing physical damage. Wild Rage and Wild Sense. She does have hit point recovery over here. This seems like a little bit of a more tame version of how X-23 has been represented in things. Still got the bleed damage though, and she does have a healing factor. And then Negasonic, which was available through the Danger Room, I never got. She is over here. See, and if you go to Danger Room, this is where you could have earned her back then. Marvel Universe. Ellie Fibster was once a student of Emma Frost's telepathy class in mutant country Genosha. Because of her strong precognitive abilities, she struggled at various groups sought her powers for their own desires. On her journey, she met Deadpool and saw another future fighting with the Merc with a mouth. Deciding to join Deadpool as his assistant, the Negasonic teenage warhead seeks fortune with her fellow Mercs. So she's actually more merced out here than the X-Men uniform that we've often seen her working with. And let's see. Negasonic Boom, a decrease to defenses. Critical rate goes up and energy damage, of course, so she's a blaster here. Guards against hits. She accumulates true damage dealt to the enemy regardless of defense and dodge rate. And then increases all of her attacks based on the accumulated damage. It's a common theme for this game. Team Gatling Blow deals burn damage. It stuns. It fractures, which removes health gains. Incapacitation, which removes active buffs. And then here, Warhead Charge, she decreases speeds, she stuns, she gets hit point recovery and goes invincible. She's got a passive of crit rate up and crit damage. At tier 2, she gains super armor. Her defenses go up, decreases all damage received. And as a leader, she decreases the debuff duration on her teams. I actually never really see her, so I don't know what her abilities look like that much. So that's the charge, which was pretty clearly represented in the first Deadpool movie. Kind of a little bit of a charging punch, and then that sphere. So that is how Negasonic Teenage Warhead is represented here, and I don't know of any other games where she has representation. She certainly was not in Marvel Avengers Alliance. So, there you go, guys. That's a discussion on Domino, X-23, and Negasonic Teenage Warhead. That's okay. Go finish up your tweet. We'll wait. Anyway, before we go, let's... Alright, I just have to see this on the friggin' team screen over here, because I want to see if it's just as bad. It'll be interesting to see, like, I'm not that impressed with Cosmic Ghost Rider. I'm not impressed with his damage, but Thor's... Okay, look, tell me, if he's eating right here, how does it get there? Does it eat here and then go into, like, a little cavity over here? That he uses his tongue, or does he have to chew and then lift his head straight up? And like these are the things that my brain comes up with. How does this guy chew and then fucking eat? But anyway, yeah, so Burb, or Thors, was actually really solid in Marvel Avengers Alliance. It'll be interesting to see if he, in Marvel Future Fight, winds up being as strong. Phyla-Vell was broken in Marvel Avengers Alliance because she was released at a time when I think the developers knew the game was ending, so they didn't care. Don't really know her power level here, nor do I really know Richards. I could just tell you I'm not that impressed with Cosmic Ghost Rider. Darkhawk has actually turned out to be fairly good. Not the biggest thing to write home about, but solid. And then there's Wolverine and his X-Force costume. You see how close it is to X-23's. Okay. So that's it for me, guys. I have a Ironheart video that I uploaded before this one. Go check that one out. And if I get any more news in Marvel Avengers Alliance Redux, I'll be putting it out here. Thanks, guys. Have a good one.